It is officially time for another cake box video. You guys love this every single time I do these. I wanna tell you that if you wanna know how to make this from scratch, I have that in a previous video. So my last video that I did on making things from cake box mixes, I showed you how to make your own cake box mix. That is hard to say. I have that recipe in there. It is so easy. We actually keep this in our pantry and then I just mix up a new one whenever we need it. For the purpose of today's video, I bought these cake boxes because all of these recipes are actually going to church to contribute to family dinner that we're having there. So I just got these, makes it really simple. But if you wanna make it so that you know exactly what the ingredients are, these are great ingredients. We're making a caramel apple poke cake. And I actually am going with a salted caramel versus just a regular caramel, but you can go either way. So we need to start by putting 3 eggs into this bowl. Oh, we actually need to start by preheating our oven to 350 degrees. You can obviously use a hand mixer if that's what you prefer. Now I'm gonna be adding 1 can of apple pie filling. I chose this brand right here just based on my grocery order. So this is apple fruit filling or topping. This one says no high fructose corn syrup. We are gonna add the whole can into this recipe. Let's mix that together. And I'm kind of smashing them a bit with my whisk as I do this, because obviously they're big apple pieces. I just want them to be a little smaller. We are adding 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. We're adding a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. And a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We are also gonna add in an entire box of yellow cake mix and mix all of this together. Now this one is going to church, so I'm going to take one of these type of pans. So actually my husband is taking it to church tonight. So that way they don't have to worry about any dishes or anything because we don't have a kitchen. Okay, spray that pan and all the batter is gonna go in there. You're spreading this out so that it is even. And this is gonna go in that 350 degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes. All right, our apple cake just came out of the oven. We need to pretty quickly go ahead and pour on this caramel topping. I'm gonna heat it up just a bit, just so it's easier to pour out of the jar. It's not a requirement by any means. While that's heating, we're gonna poke holes in our cake. So I'm just using a chopstick. I find that's one of the easiest things to do. Just a couple inches apart, you're just gonna poke holes. Keep it really simple. They don't have to look pretty or perfect. You're gonna end up covering it with an icing layer anyway. But this is just going to make sure that all the cake gets saturated in that caramel. Making sure you get the edges too. Don't forget about those. All right, well, my cake fell in the middle, but it's gonna be okay. It's still gonna taste good. We're gonna take the salted caramel topping and it's gonna go all over the top. The whole jar. Now this is an 11-ounce jar. You can use up to a 17-ounce jar. It's totally up to you. Now because it fell in the center, I'm gonna take a spoon and scoop it out of the dip there. Not ideal, but it'll still be okay. It'll still taste good. It's just annoying. My daughter came in, she was like, I don't think it's supposed to do that. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, we're gonna let this cool for a bit before we make the icing-like stuff that goes on the top. The caramel apple poke cake has cooled for long enough now, so we're gonna move on to the icing, frosting, I guess, so that we can put it in the fridge because you really want it to refrigerate until you're ready to serve. So I'm gonna pour 1.5 cups of whipping cream, heavy cream, into my measuring cup and then into the bowl. We're going to start this on medium and gradually increase to a high speed. We want to whisk this until we get to stiff peaks or close to stiff peaks, and then we're gonna add in powdered sugar. Now you don't wanna mix it for too long because you'll get butter. So not too long, but just until you start to see those stiff peaks form. We've got those stiff peaks. So we're gonna put in 3/4 cup of powdered sugar and mix that together. So we are going to start on low so we don't have a powder explosion. Okay, I think that is a good amount. It is, goodness. You can see it's not falling off of the beater. I'm gonna add the whipped cream or the frosting, I guess, all over. Just spread this around. Now, somewhat for taste, but mostly for looks, we're going to sprinkle with some cinnamon. And there you have it. I mean, come on, come on. How good does this look? It's so pretty. I feel like it's gonna be light and fluffy too. Let's give it a taste. That is really good. Really, really good. Oh. I'm gonna push it away so that everybody else can try it. When you get the bite of the salted caramel with it, wow. Wow. Love the topping because it's very light. Guys, this is so good. You get the apples in there, the ever so slightest bit of cinnamon. The salted caramel really stands out. Now, I don't know what this would be like with the regular caramel, but wow. And then that light and fluffy whipped cream type topping. This is so good. Future editing Amber here. I've actually taken this to 2 different events now, and I get so many compliments on how good this recipe is. You definitely need to try this one. This recipe is called Ooey Gooey Butter Cake, and in our family, we actually call it butter bars. Very similar recipe, but let me just tell you, if you're scared of butter, this is not the recipe for you. It's very good, and I really don't make it for my family. I usually take it somewhere when we make it. There's a lot of butter in this, but there's a reason it's called Ooey Gooey Butter Cake. So I've got a 1/2 cup of melted butter here. That's 1 stick of butter. We're gonna put it into the mixer. Please do not feel like you need to have a stand mixer to make this recipe. And because it calls for another stick of butter, I'm gonna go ahead and get that one started. Let's add a box of cake mix to this recipe. Now, this is gonna make your standard Ooey Gooey butter bars, but you can feel free to change up the recipe here, okay? If you change up the type of cake box mix, you're gonna change the recipe entirely. You could definitely do a spice cake if that's something that you're interested in. Play around with the base of this recipe, which is the part that we're making right now. And to that, we're gonna add 2 eggs. Also, I love, now that I get my eggs from one of my friends, I love the colors. It's so fun. Okay, we are going to beat this together. It's gonna be a very doughy consistency, so you want that though. It's gonna press into the bottom of a pan. Oh, we forgot to add vanilla extract. You need about a teaspoon of vanilla extract into this. I don't know about you guys, but it is 9:30 and I am ready for another coffee. Okay, we have a sprayed dish here. Again, I am using these disposable ones just because I'm gonna be taking this to church for our family night dinner. or to contribute to our family night dinner anyway. I feel like I should have used a more sturdy spatula for this. I love this spatula, but it is rather flimsy, so it doesn't work for certain things. Also, I'm missing one of my spatulas. Y'all, I don't know how kitchen things disappear. I mean, the reality is they either go in the sink or in the dishwasher, and then they're supposed to get put away. So is my dishwasher eating them? Is somebody running off with them? I don't know how this stuff happens. We are pressing this into the bottom of this pan, creating a bottom layer. All right, you can smooth it out and make it perfect if you want, but I never worried too much about it. Set this to the side because we are going to make the other layer. I'm gonna use the same bowl because it's all going in the same place. We need 8 ounces of cream cheese. This is at room temperature. I've had this out for about an hour or so, just so it's still pretty cold, but room temperature-ish. This is gonna go into the mixer. Tell me in the comments below, you know, I'm thinking about my grandma as I'm making this one. My mom has made this one countless times. My grandma has made this one countless times. Like every family event, you can pretty much guarantee that there's gonna be butter bars. That's what we call it, but that's essentially what it is. It's the Ooey Gooey butter cake. Tell me in the comments, what is a recipe, a dessert recipe that your mom or your grandma made that you remember growing up, you feel like it was always at an event? You can tell me a regular recipe too, but a sweet, specifically sweets, since we're doing cake box. Okay, I'm gonna start to beat that cream cheese just to get it a little bit smooth. I probably should have saved this cup for when my dishwasher is very loud. You need to calm down. I probably should have saved this cup for when we finish the next recipe because that one sounds like it's gonna be so delicious with a cup of coffee. The cream cheese is nice and smooth. We're gonna add 2 eggs to it. Don't roll away on me. I'm adding another teaspoon of vanilla.
Whatever you're making now.
We have another half cup of melted butter. Seriously, serious on the butter. I'm gonna start to mix this together, but we do have another ingredient to add. Let's add 4 cups of powdered sugar to this recipe. And I am glad that I got a new bag because I was not gonna have enough. Oh. This recipe is all sugar and butter. It's very good though. Now this is one where if you're using a stand mixer, then you probably do want to scrape the sides. If you're using a hand mixer, obviously you can just do that with the beaters. But if you don't do that, you can have powdered sugar and cream cheese that have kind of clumped together. Now you want to continue to mix this until the mixture is light and fluffy. This layer is going to go on top of our base layer. This is gonna bake at 350 degrees for 40 to 50 minutes. It is gonna be nice and gooey in the center, so you don't wanna overbake it. So we're gonna go ahead and get this in there. All right, the Ooey Gooey bars are done. Very rich, but very good. It's still really hot. I feel like when you make these, you need to cut them into pretty small squares because they are very rich. But the flavor is so good, you guys. We are making an apple cider donut cake. The first time I made this was several years ago and it is so delicious. You do not want to skip this recipe. Everyone really loves this one. It's made in a bundt pan, so it looks really pretty too. Y'all, I'm telling you, you have to make this one. The first thing we're doing is adding a box of the yellow cake mix to my mixing bowl. We're adding some apple cider to this. Feel free to get a really good one, like a really, really good quality one, because I do think that makes a difference. We're going budget friendly on this recipe, but we need 3/4 of a cup added to this. So all in. Probably could get out the measuring cups that are actually intended for liquid, but we'll be all right. All right, we are adding some applesauce, and this is the applesauce that we usually just have at our house because the kids can grab it and take it very quickly. So you need about a half cup of applesauce. And this recipe requires 3 eggs. So we'll go ahead and get those in there. And 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And we're gonna mix all of this together. That's just combined. We need to add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And we'll leave this out because I do believe we use it again. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then mix this together. We did grease and flour a bundt pan. Let's pour this whole mixture into there. Now my oven is currently preheating to 350 degrees. It shouldn't take long because I was actually baking pretty much all morning, even though I turned the oven off. Oh yeah, we're almost back there again. Now I'm gonna bake this for 45 minutes. It can go in between 40 and 50. We're gonna do 45, see how it looks, up to 50. Make sure a toothpick comes out clean and then go from there. 45, here we go. Finishing off this apple cider donut cake, we need to make the topping. Okay, so we're gonna add about a half cup, maybe a little less, maybe like a 1/3 cup or so. Basically, you're just making cinnamon sugar. Really, really easy to do. And about a teaspoon of cinnamon. Mix that together. So simple, so simple. All right, there you have your cinnamon sugar. Our cake is cooled. I usually take one of these skewers, some sort of long stick, something that you can poke around the edges and make sure that everything is nice and separated from the edges. Now this one actually looks really good. It actually separated very easily. So I'm really hoping when we turn it over, the whole thing comes out. Here goes nothing. All right, that's what you want. I also have a couple of tablespoons of melted butter, and we are going to top this with melted butter the whole way around. If I need more, I'll make more. The recipe that I have been using for a couple of years now, and kind of made adjustments to, says a 1/4 cup of butter. We'll see if I need more. If I need more, that's totally fine. Yeah, see, I did about 3 tablespoons of butter, maybe 2.5, and I think that's enough, but obviously you do whatever you wanna do. If you wanna add more, go for it. Now I could empty one of my shakers and put this in a shaker and shake this, but we're just gonna take a spoon and put that cinnamon sugar all over, all the way around. Try and get it on the edges as well. Okay, so I don't think we needed quite that much cinnamon and sugar. Now, just a heads up, I was actually not at church for family night when I made those other 2 desserts that went with our family night dinner. My husband said that apple poke cake should be in a favorites video because everybody was saying how good it was. So make that one. Very, very good. This one is actually going for Sunday morning. We have Sunday morning pastries and coffee. So I made this to go with our pastries. We usually have that available for the whole church. So this looks so pretty for Sunday morning pastries. Let me give this a taste before we take this with us. The flavor is really good. I will say, I have made this before, like I said, if you use a really good quality apple cider, you get more of that apple cider flavor. So this is one where the apple cider that I used is one in the juice section of the store that doesn't have to be refrigerated. But if you use one that's out, it's like this pure, really like deep color apple cider, you are gonna get more of that flavor, which is delicious. There's no dryness to this. You get that sweetness from the cinnamon sugar on the top. This is very, very good. It's good option. It can be a good option for a breakfast, but also a great option for a dessert, especially at this time of year. Verse today comes from Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you need more inspiration, I've got more of these here on my channel. You're gonna get the best recipes. Make sure you check out the video that I have linked above. You're gonna love it, and it's gonna give you even more inspiration in the kitchen. Have a great week.